Okay, I want to call up to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Murphysboro Community Unit School District Board of Education. And Mrs. Hines, will you take the roll, please?
Mr. Beavers?
Here.
Mrs. Dorr? Here. Mr. Green?
Here.
Mrs. James?
Here. Oh, you said,
You said James or
Mrs.
May?
James?
Here.
Mr. Runge?
Here.
Mr. Bain?
okay, I'm here. It's kind of like the teacher when they call and you go, what?
All right, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Carrington, would you lead us tonight, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next item is the approval of the agenda. Mr. Grody?
Much to Mr. Bain and Mrs. Miller's chagrin, we are striking the whole section C. The canvas and votes have not come in. We're gonna need to schedule a special meeting to seat the new board members, so
That it?
that's the only change we need, yes.
All right, then I'll accept a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Item number 5 is the approval of the consent agenda, which consists of District 186 regular board meeting minutes dated March the 19th, 2019, Tri-County minutes dated March the 10th, 2019, Tri-County bills for April 2019, applications and reports, and I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 is the approval of District 186 bills for April 2019, and I think we will have some questions from the board.
I didn't get the bills this time, so I don't have any questions.
They were, oh, did you get yours electronic?
Mm-hmm. So,
Okay,
I'm sure I'll find some real quick.
well, I have a few.
Okay.
The first is the, for the board, it's page 3 of the checks written between schedule. It says middle school volleyball extracurricular. So
Middle school workers for the season, scorekeepers,
Gotcha. Okay.
ticket takers.
And then the regular listing on page, well, it's the second page, I've got 2. What is CDW government?
It's where we buy computers. That's a company that we
It
buy
might be,
computers.
Lenovo's a computer,
Yeah,
so that's,
Computer Discount Warehouse, government site.
gotcha, okay? And then right below that is a CPR wrist monitor.
that's for the nursing class to do, for trainings and for their, we paid for it out of textbooks because they're using it in class.
Okay.
Can I interrupt you, because right between those two
Yep.
is the ELA textbooks. Now, I know that they decided on that late, is that why we're seeing that now, or did that bill just come in late?
We ordered them after the last board meeting.
Right, okay.
And so we're just getting, the purchase orders
Those
were
were coming in
generated
now.
between the last board meeting and, these were the first to actually come in.
Okay.
I think, did we get the,
Chromebooks
Chromebooks,
are in yet.
okay.
Carts are in.
I thought maybe that's what you were getting today, so they're starting to trickle in, General has all their textbooks. And I think the rest of the buildings are starting to roll in, so we'll probably see a lot of those next month as well.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
That was all that I had. Anyone else? I'm gonna give Mrs. Dorr an opportunity, since she didn't receive it.
Is this the last payment for the auditorium?
There is, we have retainage of a little under 25,000.
Is there,
punch list.
I think our last issue is some issues with the auditorium curtain, so we're hanging on to retainage until that gets finished up, but we are in the home stretch.
Now that the play's over, I'm hoping they get those curtains fixed soon.
haven't had the opportunity to talk with Mrs. White, but what did she say Mr. Elmeyer?
Those curtains need fixed.
Well, I mean, besides, we know that, but I mean, everything else, I haven't had the
She's
opportunity.
making sure of that. No, I think things went well. She's pretty happy with everything.
When I talked to her,
There's
she's,
some lighting in the foyer area that's flickering that needs fixed, that hasn't been fixed yet, but
she's a little overwhelmed with, you need a lot more manning with a lot more opportunities for light, sound, everything else, which is a good problem to have.
It was a great performance.
It was
but
phenomenal.
Sunday was warm, the HVAC, but they came in on Monday to make those repairs, so.
I didn't even notice it. I saw that email.
Sunday?
Yeah, I didn't even
Really?
notice it was that warm.
What are the commodities? What
What
commodities
page
are
are
they?
you on?
Those are the food commodities that
So it's
we,
food, yep.
I think that's 6. Is it page 6?
Oh.
Some,
Yeah, it's hard to.
It's not,
Yes.
it's not.
1, 2, 3.
actually, I think it's just Georgia's shipping on the commodities. We don't actually pay for the commodities, but it's the
It's
freight.
just shipping
It's the
and
freight. Yeah.
Is it the video system for the auditorium?
No, that's the video camera system.
Oh, all the cameras.
That was the last, the high school was the last building, and we finally got all the little bugs out and paid the final bill.
Set up and working now.
It's working. There's some software issues that we're still working through.
The Tri-County health insurance and third quarter IDEA, all those.
The IDEA grant is just a flow-through grant. They bill us $215,000 a year, and we give them expenditures that has to do with the federal TRS. But it's just an in and out in Tri-County. And health insurance, it's an issue that they send it to us, and then we have to send it back to Tri-County. It has to do with their retirees, because some of their retirees are on our plan. And I think the other thing is their tuition for the third quarter for all of our programs.
Any more questions?
You good?
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
No one else has any questions, I will entertain a motion to approve District 186 bills.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Mrs. Hines?
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Dorr?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mrs. Janes? Yes. Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 7 is communications. Do we have any?
Yeah, we have several.
Oh, yes, we do.
We do. Yeah, Ken.
All right,
Yeah, your boy.
that's a good thing.
Okay, so the first one is from Cheryl Brazel. I'm very sad to say it is time to close another chapter in my life. As of May 19th, 2019, I am resigning as the girls' head track coach. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of something that I have always loved to coach.
The recommendation is to accept that letter of resignation.
And I will entertain a motion to accept the recommendation from administration.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
To whom it may concern, please accept this letter as my resignation as cheerleading coach at the Murphysboro High School as of March 25th, 2019. I have been involved with cheer over 25 years. This has been very rewarding, and I want to thank you for the opportunity that has been given to me. As I close this chapter in my life, I look forward to many challenges and opportunities that the future has in store for me. I can only hope that they will be as rewarding as the time I have spent with this program. Once a Red Devil, always a Red Devil. Cheryl Brazel.
Again, the recommendation is to approve her resignation.
Now I'll entertain a motion to approve that recommendation.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
To whom it may concern, it is with great pride after 38 years with CUSD 186, I will be retiring at the end of the 2018-19 school year. My working relationship with our district began with me as an EOC aide at McElvain School. From there, I was moved to Murphysboro Middle School and then eventually Murphysboro High School. While at McElvain, the MHS assistant cheer position became available. and so my long career in extracurricular activities began. Soon after, the track team came calling, then cross country. I worked my way up through the ranks, as they say, and eventually became the head coach of each of these teams. As if athletics wasn't enough, longtime friend Dodie Stratton urged me to become involved with the Lifesavers, where I became a counselor. I found my time with this organization to be very fulfilling and quite rewarding. As I mentioned Dodie, I am reminded of the so many people who rendered guidance to me over the years. I was very fortunate to have started my career at McIlvain School under the principal, Ron Burdick. Mr. Burdick was an excellent leader and principal. Since that time, I have worked for many principals, athletic directors, head coaches, and superintendents. I have learned lessons from all of them, some good, some bad, but lessons nonetheless. Through my coaching, I have had the good fortune to meet and become friends with so many coaches and athletic directors throughout Southern Illinois and the Metro East area. Regularly seeing them and sharing the struggles of trying to get the best from a group of teenagers will be missed. Also to be missed will be the people in the building that I see every day, people who share the same passion to help students succeed. So many have come and gone during my time. Without a doubt, those I will miss the most are the students and student athletes. Knowing the struggles that so many of them have in their daily lives and trying to convince them that through hard work and dedication they can break the cycle that their home life has trapped them in. Nothing has been more frustrating or rewarding in my time here. In closing, I would like to mention that when I started this journey, I was a young, single, bright-eyed young lady. Since then, I became a wife, a mother, and now a grandmother. I have coached, mentored, and taught for this district, all while raising 2 kids and a husband. I look very forward to spending time with my family as I close this chapter in my life. Cheryl Brazel.
And the recommendation is to approve her retirement, and that does close out all of the activities that Mrs. Brazel does for us. We wish her well.
She was our senior employee, correct? Most years?
She-
She was.
Thought so. All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept that recommendation.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and we want to wish her all the best in retirement.
To whom it may concern, please accept this as my letter of resignation from the position of head cheer coach at Murphysboro Middle School effective March 31st, 2019. This 2018-19 season has been one for the record. For the first time in middle school history, this team became a competition team. Not only did they compete, but returned with a 9th place out of 15 at the ICCA state level their first year out. They were the only first-year competition team to even qualify for the state competition. I also want to make note of the bond that myself, along with my volunteer assistant coach, Morgan Smith, and the high school cheer coach, Cheryl Brazel, and assistant coach Haley Wills have created between the middle school and high school. These kids have not just tolerated each other, but worked together as a team, supporting each other and working together to accomplish their goals this year. It has truly been one of the highlights of this season. As I have mentioned before, I have enjoyed all the relationships that have formed over the years with both students and parents. The middle school cheer team has grown to do so much more than cheer at boys' basketball games. They also cheer for the girls' basketball team, send Christmas card to the veterans at the VA hospital, patients at St. Joseph Hospital, and the school staff. They help with wrapping gifts for all of our Secret Santa projects, have adopted a family over the holidays, helped for the last 4 years with the annual Tender Mercies Candlelight event, donations to Food Pantry and the Women's Center, and now competing and doing very well. They have all been active in many other extracurricular activities while cheering. I am very proud of these girls past and present. The staff and administration at the middle school have been very supportive throughout the years, and it hasn't been unnoticed. It has been an honor to work with such amazing kids and coaches. Respectfully, Michelle Mifflin Blevins.
And the recommendation is to approve that resignation.
And I'll entertain a motion to accept that recommendation.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
As of May 19th, 2019, I will be resigning as girls' assistant track coach. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of an amazing program alongside the best of the best, Cheryl Brazel. I will truly miss the kids and the sport, but this will allow me to spend more time with my family. Thanks for all the memories, Tracy Lingerie.
Recommendation is to approve that resignation.
I'll entertain a motion to accept that.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I, Christina Arbeiter, as of 3/26, will be resigning as a cook for 186. Thank you for the experience of working as a cook. I have made many friends and learned a lot. Thank you again, Christina Hoffberger.
The recommendation is to approve that retirement.
And I'll accept a motion to approve it.
So,
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. You were halfway done.
Thanks, so.
Just over.
Please accept this letter as my resignation as of Friday, May 17th, 2019. Thank you for your 32 years of employment, some good, some bad. Ruth Attic.
The recommendation is to approve her retirement as well.
And I'll entertain a motion to accept that recommendation. Bless you. Thank you. In a second? Mr. Green, second. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries. We wish her well as well.
Dear Mrs. Ehlers, the purpose of this letter is to inform you that I've accepted an elementary teaching position with the O'Fallon District 90 schools to begin the fall semester of 2019. While I am pleased to find this new position near my home, I truly feel sadness to leave General John A. Logan Attendance Center. You trusted me to fill this role as a music teacher. I was warmly welcomed by fellow teachers and staff, and the assistance given in preparation for the holiday program was amazing. It should not be assumed that that happens elsewhere. You personally have shown me a great amount of trust and must have given the O'Fallon principal a very good reference. I sincerely appreciate this. Of course, I will finish the spring semester strong, and if I can be a reference for this open position as well as a resource to assist the new teacher getting oriented, it will be my privilege. Sincerely, Bethany Harry.
The recommendation is to approve her resignation.
And I'll entertain a motion to accept that recommendation.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
Dear Mr. Grody and school board members, I am submitting my letter of retirement effective June 25th, 2019 under the IMRF Early Retirement Incentive Program. I have worked for the Murphysboro School District for the past 25 years and have thoroughly enjoyed it. I have been lucky to work with so many great people over the years and am glad to be able to call them my friends. It has been a pleasure working with the students over the years, and I will miss them as well as the faculty, staff, and administration. I would like to wish everyone the best and also for all to have a great summer. Sincerely, Christina Hunziker.
And the recommendation is to approve her retirement.
And I'll entertain a motion to accept that recommendation.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
To whom it may concern, it is with deep sorrow I write this notice of my resignation from coaching volleyball for District 186. I must resign from the head volleyball position at Murphysboro High School. My family needs me more than ever, and I won't be able to dedicate the extensive hours that are required beyond my teaching duties that are involved in coaching extracurricular activities for District 186. I feel I have served District 186 with honor over many years, and know the community is proud of the product we put on the floor year after year. With coaching 3 sports for 8 years and 2 sports for almost 20 years consecutively, I know in my heart my dedication to Murphysboro. I leave my replacement with a plethora of talent, a program that is in outstanding shape, and amazing kids to work with. Mike Lane.
The recommendation is to approve that resignation.
And I'll entertain a motion to accept that recommendation.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. That's it.
That's it.
Next item is fishbowl items, and I think we had a few. Let's start over here with Mr. Bain. You got one?
Yes, I do. This is addressed to Mr. Grody and the Board of Education, and this is coming from Elizabeth
Grant.
Grant. Earlier this year, she received an Egyptian Electric grant. The money was awarded for her to purchase supplies and tools for a sewing enrichment class at the middle school. 12 students joined the first round. They hand-sewed flag quilt blocks and were put together in a quilt of valor that will be given to the Murphysboro VFW for a wounded warrior. They'll be taking a field trip to donate the quilt to the group in person. Finally, they were able to fabricate and complete individual blocks for a class quilt, and was on display, and they raffled it off, money earned going to help fund future sewing classes of this kind. The class was considered such a success that we are sincerely looking forward to a repeat performance for the next round of funding.
Thank you.
This is to the Board of Education. On Thursday, March 28th, over 400 people attended the second annual Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math Night, or STEAM Night, at Murphysboro Middle School. There were over 50 stations staffed by volunteers from agencies ranging from SIU, Shawnee Community College, the Astronomical Association of Southern Illinois, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, Jackson County Recycling, the Johnny Logan Museum, Giant City State Park, the National Forest Service, as well as teachers and students from Murphysboro Middle School, Crothers, and Trico. Families and students who came could use microscopes to hunt for tardigrades, is that right? Water bears, hold live snakes, ride a leaf blower powered hoverboard, check out constellations and colored light in the Star Lab domes, hold moon rocks and meteorite samples on loan from NASA, search for bones and rodents in owl pellets, observe simulated river systems, work as a team to escape the escape room, take laps around the front lawn on the SIU's moon buggy, observe the eruption of a flower volcano, create a unique design while pendulum painting, explore a bat cave, and much more. The event, sponsored by the Middle School PSTA, Parent Student Teacher Association, was free to the public and raised $372 selling concessions and collecting donations. Much thanks to the custodial maintenance staff for helping out with all of the setup and cleanup. We really appreciate your efforts. On another note, the giant model airplane that was lost on its test flight just prior to the event was found about 2 miles away and returned.
Got some longevity to it.
Everything works out. All right, I have two things, it's kind of the happenings over at General John A. Logan School, sent in from Melinda Pearson. General John A. Logan Kindergarten held their first transition to kindergarten meeting at the school last Thursday, along with parent-teacher conferences. Pre-K and Head Start children and families met in the cafeteria and were provided with a 20-minute overview of things they need to know to get started in kindergarten. After Mrs. Ehlers introduced each teacher, the teachers shared important behavior and academic information with parents and provided informational handouts as well as the necessary district forms. Mrs. Malore, our school nurse, made sure everyone was aware of the requirements, the immunization, physical, dental, and vision. Finally, a quick tour was given of the school, and each teacher was in the room to visit, talk, and answer any questions. Secretaries were in the office taking registration papers and scheduling screening times and the dates. It was a huge success that helped our future parents become more familiar and comfortable with our school. And our future kindergarten students got excited about starting Big Kids School. We plan on making this an annual spring event. And then also, the Murphysboro Middle School Million Words Club sent students to the General last month to help with Read Across America celebrations. During the day, the middle school readers were paired up with young readers in the kindergarten, first and second grades, as well as helping in reading-based activities. It was such a wonderful way for our students to mentor our younger students and inspire them to be the prolific readers the Million Word Club members are. It was an added bonus for the General John A. Logan teachers to see some of their former students maintaining a connection that the Murphy teachers and students are known for.
I wanted to take this opportunity to thank all of the staff and families that came out for the first ever MHS Family Night last month. We had over 100 people, 8th through 12th grade, come out, which exceeded our expectations. A good type of problem to have. It was a great night and the beginning of a tradition we hope to continue and grow at MHS. It's from Andrea Geis.
This is from Jennifer Cochran. Murphysboro Middle School had 34 students qualified to attend this summer's Challenge to Excellence Camp at Southern Illinois University. After evaluating all test scores, all qualifying students were notified that they were eligible to attend, and we have had many students indicate that they will attend. Murphysboro Middle School will be well represented at camp this year. In order to qualify, you must score in the top 10% on achievement tests. Now in its 36th year, Challenge to Excellence is one of the most respected and long-standing summer residential programs for academically talented students in the Midwest. The program's major goal is to provide students with opportunities to stretch themselves in classes that promote higher level thinking skills and creativity in a variety of academic subjects such as math, art, psychology, journalism, biology, and many others. Blue Devil proud.
Good. Is that it? Okay, item number 9 is Freedom Information Act request.
We had three. The first one was the Smart Procure that asks us, I think almost quarterly, we responded. The second one was the MEA bargaining negotiations team. They asked for overtime payroll, itemized attorney fees, bills, and total cost of the science and the ELA textbook adoptions. And then the third one was also from the MEA, and that was in regards to the board packets info. There was a little confusion with what we send the MEA, and so we've corrected that. And last month and this month with the transition, we didn't. Nancy took her notes before we changed what we send them in the contract, and so we apologize, and we've sent them that information. And I believe that they're gonna get the other one tomorrow, if I saw the email correctly. I got it today from the attorneys to send on, so.
Okay. Item number 10 is the recognition of audience. The Board of Education welcomes the audience to make public or employee comments. The board has set aside time in the agenda specifically for this purpose. Pursuant to Board Policy 2.230, each speaker shall be limited to a 5-minute presentation. Please be aware that while this is the time for the public or employees to express its opinions and/or concerns, the board may or may not comment regarding public presentations. If a matter of public comment warrants discussion or action of the Board of Education, such discussion or action will be added to the agenda of a future meeting. Do we have any public concerns or comments? Do we have any employee concerns or comments? Very good. Thank you all for being here. Our next item will be old business. Oh, I'm sorry. I did. Item 11, conducting the public hearing concerning the intent of the Board of Education to sell $3 million general obligation alternate bonds, alternate revenue source for the purpose of altering, repairing, and equipping school buildings and facilities of the district and improve the sites thereof. The public hearing is to receive public comments on the proposal as stated. I would like to defer to Mr. Grody and Mrs. Bush to explain in more detail the reasons for the proposed issuance of the bonds.
These are those bonds that are going to pay for the field at the high school, the middle school HVAC,
General
John A. Logan's playground,
middle school abatement project going
right, which is part
alongside.
of the HVAC.
We do have some proceeds from the high school auditorium project that we'll be using
In conjunction.
in conjunction with that for the track. So it would have been a larger bond proceeds, but since we had probably a little shy of 500,000 left, maybe a little more than that, our insurance check was bigger than we thought. Then it's just $3 million that we need to sell.
Whatever happened with the Egyptian Electric
We put it in, they are looking at it right now, and so it's, all's in their court. So we could very well get $1 million from that, and it would be interest-free. These bonds are written so that if we do get that interest-free loan that would be applied to the middle school project, this money would then be held until we have other projects to be done, so. We could submit the Egyptian Electric, and right now, the, not Egyptian Electric, but the state level person has it.
Any other questions from the board? Are there any public comments or questions? Terry, do we have any written questions?
We did not.
Okay. No further questions or comments concerning the topic. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Terry, would you please roll that, please?
Mr. Bain,
Yes.
Mr. Beavers,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorr,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mrs. James,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Lundy.
Yes, motion carries. First item under old business is the approval of the 2019-2020 calendar, which is enclosure number 1 in your packet.
Yeah, we've met with the association, a proposed calendar was distributed last month. The big points, since the state still hasn't opened up the IWAS system, the web access portal that we enter in the calendars for, which means the state's still unsure as to all of the details with the new laws or the old laws and what they're gonna go with that. The key points here is that school will start on August 12th. The 12th and the 13th will be Teacher Institute days. Students will start on August 14th. Christmas break is gonna be 2 weeks, December 23rd, which is the Monday. They'll have the weekend off before that, of course. And January 3rd, they return. Or January 3rd is a Friday, actually, and so they'll return on the Monday following that. Spring break will be before Easter, which is the week of April 6th, but it's gonna be dependent on the number of snow days. The key thing there was we wanted the Teacher Institute Day to be May 22nd. And so what we want to do is come back in March and amend the calendar to add spring break prior to Easter, depending on how many snow days we had or had not. Those are really the key points.
Why does the snow days have anything to do with when the spring break would be?
Because if you take your snow days, then we want to make sure that the last day is before Memorial Day weekend. If we have no snow days, we've got 5 days that we can take off. Well, those 5 days we could put as the spring break, keeping the end of the calendar the same date.
So if there's snow days, then there's no spring break, is what you're saying?
No.
Yes.
Well, that's what
Well,
I
it's
hear.
still the
That's
Fri-
what
the
I
Friday
said
and the
too.
Monday.
Friday and a Monday, you get a extended weekend around Easter.
So the
But
assumption.
nobody could plan anything or,
Correct.
Well, it'd be the same thing if we didn't do it like the way we did in the past. If we didn't do it, essentially what we would assume is we're gonna be done before Memorial Day. If not, then we go push past that. So
we
it's-
push past it.
So the same ones that would say, well, I don't want plans for spring break, would say, well, I got plans for summer vacation as soon as we get out Memorial Day weekend. So it's, which half do you appease?
Well,
So they won't know until March whether they have to have childcare arrangements in April.
Right.
or they'll pay for childcare arrangements in April, whether or not they need them, is what will actually happen to reserve a spot. In childcare, you'll pay, and so if you have multiple young children, you'd be paying $1,000 for a week that you might not actually use, and you'll be charged anyway. You might have some upset parents though. I'd be upset if that were me.
This February would be too soon. I mean, if you move forward, but February would be too soon to adjust a schedule, because you have
Yes.
snow days, you don't know.
It really would be, but
How many did we use this year?
5. We used all of them, correct? 4, 3?
Three.
It felt like 5.
We used 3, we took 2 off the calendar.
Okay.
I mean, I just think it should just, a decision should be made. There's either spring break or there's not.
Mr. Green? It was you and who was
Yeah,
the
I
other
think-
board member? It was,
Well, I left before, when I left, there were some days in April. I thought it went through this, I thought it had like the 7th and the 8th and the 9th.
we had 2 versions, and the versions depend on whether or not, which way the state goes with, parent-teacher conference, non-attendance, so we have, if they go back to the way that it was previous to the law change, which, then we would have more time in that April. But, yeah,
So this is with the 176 instead of the 178?
no, it's with the 178.
It's with the 178.
That was what we, agreed to with the committee, so.
Are there questions?
Yeah, I mean, I know you guys sat there and you debated it all, but that teachers are okay with the uncertainty as well? And I don't really wanna look out in the audience and ask, cause that, but I guess that,
The ones that were at the committee
with
Ones
the
at the meeting
uncertainty.
were that was the way they wanted it.
So did this go out to everybody after?
with that.
Well,
Did this go out after to get feedback?
I don't think so.
I don't think it went out after, but there was a survey that went out beforehand, and the calendar that was approved by the committee of MEA reps and the board was almost point by point what the teachers had said that they wanted in the survey, so I don't Do you remember if it went out afterwards?
Each person that was on the committee, the calendar committee, was supposed to take it back to their building. So it wasn't necessarily put
Right.
out like electronically afterwards. It was just supposed to be shared.
And I know it was shared in my building.
Yeah, and it was shared in our building too.
And do you get any negative?
People wanted out
People wanna be out
Memorial
before
Day.
Memorial Day. And as for the childcare thing, I mean, I feel like people are trying to just, like, when you have those 5 kind of floating days, you're either using those at the end of May,
Or
or
randomly?
you're using those around, you know, around spring break or Easter, like, there's uncertainty every year when you're determining that childcare, I think was the thought. But the teachers, I do know that the teachers seemed happy with this version.
It was a
They want
long discussed item
out
because
before Memorial Day.
having that week of spring break is a nice break during that long stretch, but
Seems like an awful long dry period between President's Day all the way to April without a break in the calendar.
So they're guaranteed though, the Good Friday, if I can use that word, and Easter Monday. That is set in
Yes.
stone. The other 3 are, well, the other 4 then, I guess.
And so then as the snow day does or doesn't occur, are you adding a day on? I mean, I just think that for, as a parent that has to make childcare arrangements, I need to know in advance when I'm supposed to have childcare and not be calling somebody, you know, or taking a day off, a vacation day off of work to stay home because we couldn't just make a decision and say we're having spring break or we're not. That's just me. And it is costly, you do have to reserve a spot, and sign up well in advance.
Other questions? Then I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendation of the calendar for 2019-2020.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 2 is the approval of the building management plans for 2019-2020.
and the plans have been on review since March. I did receive a question regarding the dress codes, and the all 4 buildings stayed the same as last year, which is when we made the changes to the dress code from that larger meeting. So administration recommends that the board approve as presented.
Any questions?
So none of them were changed?
None of them were changed from last year. They were changed last year, and they're all the same as they were from last year. I
None
thought
of
the
them
high
were
school-
changed last year, just the board policy was changed last year, I thought.
Well, no, the general didn't change at all, but with the board policy came slight changes at the middle school, and the high school actually changed considerably.
I mean,
Based on that.
at the high school last spring, we went the vast majority of our policy came from what was approved by the committee
The board
with you guys involved.
I still find, except for the high school, I find the others very heavy as to girls have 55 things they can't wear and boys can't sag. So, I still find them sexist. I agree.
Any other comments, questions? Then I will entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of the building management plans.
So,
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Motion carries. Item number 3 is the approval of the General John A. Logan Painting Expansion Joint Caulking Bid, which is enclosure number 2 in your
Bids.
packet.
Bids were received on March 28th. Administration recommends that we award the bid to Fager McGee Commercial Construction as the lowest bidder.
And I would ask that we award the base bid as well as the alternates, because they came in lower than we anticipated they would. We're doing base bid, all the halls, exterior doors, window lintel plates as the base, and that came in at $40,800. But then the alternates are the gym, 2 full classrooms, 6 partial classrooms, the cafeteria, and the aluminum frames and doors throughout the building. So the total for all of that, and the building basically hasn't been touched in 18 years since it's been built, or we've been in it 18 years, $77,300.
So, okay, because what I see is they didn't submit an alternate bid.
No, that's the alternate for one coat of paint. We told them, we did an addendum and told them we would entertain one. We would look at one, but weren't really, happy with the thought. If you go across the top,
Yeah.
the base bid and all the bid number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. And then the other bidder was, Ron Ward Painting, and for the 2 coats of paint, it was substantially higher. Feeling that in many places, one coat isn't going to cover appropriately.
You say is or isn't?
Is not.
Is not.
And it wouldn't really be a savings anyway, because only the base bid for one coat of paint was lower. And so if we want to get all the painting done, even if we say, okay, we'll do the alternate with one coat, it would cost more than the 2 coats with Faker McGee. So that, really didn't make a lot of sense to me.
I find it interesting that they can be that much lower than the other bid.
And I don't know if it's a contractor coming from Centralia and it's a drive time every day. I don't know how much time we're talking about that it's going to take to paint that much of the building, but I would say the travel and it could be that Fager McGee just has an advantage because they're more familiar with the building because they're here.
How many days do they anticipate this taking?
I don't know. I basically said, what did we tell them? I think August 1st, finish August 1st, so.
And is this gonna be coming out of FY '20 or FY '19?
20 by the time we get started. I guess there could be a small part of it in 19, but I would anticipate that the lion's share will be coming out of next year's budget.
Other questions?
Which fund would handle it?
We're looking at maybe a split, partial out of the O&M fund and maybe some out of the capital projects fund.
Okay.
Anyone else? Then I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendation on the painting at the general.
So moved.
Second? Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Bain,
Yes.
Mr. Beavers,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mrs. James,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorr. Yes. Mr. Riley.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 4 is the approval of district facility study enclosure number 3.
Yeah, after the last board meeting, I contacted Hirsch Rocher to get a price for the phase 2 facility study. The price came in at $31,500. I talked with Jim Seifert about that. He assured me this was a discounted price due to the previous study, but it's very labor intensive. At $31,500, I'm not comfortable recommending that we go forward with that study. It was to allow us to do some long range, big picture planning, but I suggest that we just move forward. That's my recommendation, is that we table that and we move forward on the other projects.
Do we have to use them?
They are our architects, so we probably have to go out and do a request for services on another, to find another architect firm, but.
How long have we used them?
I want to say 6 years. I think the last time, maybe 7. I can't remember exactly when we did
It
the
was
RFP.
after the middle school big gym project.
Right, directly after that.
Mr. McBride was still on the board.
I was not.
You were not.
I just didn't really see what they were gonna do for 33,000 that they didn't already do in that other report.
We can discuss architectural services at next month's meeting if you'd like, and we can go into that. At this point, I'm kinda just saying, I agree with you, we should, for 31,000, we should not.
Yeah, there's
proceed
nothing
with this.
earth shattering in this little summary that I thought, oh goody, we'll know that, so.
So you're not making a recommendation on this?
I'm not.
And I'm not saying we
I'm
need
glad.
to, I was just asking, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a good question, and
Well, I think the
we can
advantage
put it on next month's agenda if we need to.
is that they know the buildings, because they worked for us for 6 years. I think that's kind of an advantage for us. But you never know sometimes. So you're not making any recommendation item number 4 at all then?
No.
Okay. Item number 5 is the financial update. Mr. Grody?
We are, or we've been told by our legislators and our lobbyists for our professional organizations, that a state budget, and our evidence-based funding amounts should come at the end of May. It sounds to me like this is gonna be one of those years that we've had where, they do the whole budget and all of the laws connected to all the deals, and they pass it in 3 days. That would be my thing. Paul Schempf did say that when we leave, everything will be settled, but he thinks it's gonna be the last minute type of thing. So end of May is when we will really have a clearer picture of what we're projected for next year. This year's revenue, we have received all of our evidence-based funding on schedule. We've received 2 of our 4 transportations, which is half, but last year we got it on the 20th, June 20th was our last payment, so 2 out of 4 is not uncommon for this point of the year. Also of note, we got our insurance payment for the auditorium, and it was $1,014,772, which is good news because we were expecting to get around $900,000, so that was a little bit more than we had originally projected. Is there anything else financially that I missed on that?
Not that we are going to complain that it's a little bit more, but why? Do we know why it was more than we
There was-
anticipated?
There were some issues on changes in ADA requirements that they had to have additional documentation from our architects, and then they had to wait until we actually built it to make sure we made those modifications, those code updates.
Gotcha.
That would, because basically we got paid to build the same auditorium, that's the money we got, and then we had to do the code updates for extra.
Yeah, and there was
And-
discussion as to whether or not our old auditorium did not have any bathrooms.
Right.
Our new auditorium does, and we got some
So
money
there was
for
a
the
lot of back and
bathrooms.
forth, and when I was anticipating the money we were going to get, I didn't wanna end too high and then us not have enough money, so I thought it'd be better to have a little extra in the end rather than fall short on the project, so.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Thank you. All right, moving into new business. Item number 1 is the district comprehensive plan, which is enclosure number 4 in your packet.
Yeah, and this, should look familiar. We did the ESSA report last year. A lot of this is from that. What the state has done is they've taken all of the various reports for the various grants and they put it into one portal, calling it the district comprehensive plan. So a lot of this information is stuff that, you either used to not approve or look at, or things that you did, but it's all consolidated into this thing. So at this point, we recommend that you approve it as presented, so we can start filing for our grants for next year.
Questions from the board?
On the board goals, what are the actual percentages for the things that, just out of curiosity?
I don't think we have actual percentages.
We,
90% or more.
we have 90% or that's as our goal. I was wondering what the actual is.
Oh, where we're at?
Mhm.
I'd have to look. I don't have that off the top of my head.
Other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the district comprehensive plan. In a second? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2 is to approve tuition-free students for 2019-2020.
Yeah, we have a waiver with the state allowing students of employees to attend the district on a tuition-free basis. That's if they live outside of the district. Administration recommends the board approve the 6 students as presented.
Any questions? Then I'll entertain a motion for the tuition waiver for these students.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries, and we'd certainly appreciate that, and bringing their kids in. All right, item number 3 is the Student Parent Handbook for 2019-2020, which is enclosure number 5. This
Yeah,
is
and,
informational only.
This is informational only. The changes come, for the most part, much like the press policy. The IPA does a good job of updating all of the recommended handbook to ensure that all the laws and regulations are up to date and any changes are reflected with that. If you would review that, we can take action next month. I did have a question from a board member when they looked at this about a possible parent advisory meeting. And so we're gonna schedule one between now and next month where we can.
An advisory meeting or an
Well,
advisory
what it is
committee?
that really you're supposed to allow the parents to work with the board on some of the issues regarding the handbook. And so what we're gonna do is we're going to have a meeting where we invite parents in to discuss the district handbook. I've reached out to other area superintendents to see how they do that and to what extent they do that, and a lot of them do it the way we do which is not really having the meeting, so we're gonna have the meeting this month.
Okay.
So that will be scheduled.
Item number 4 is the interagency agreement with Child and Family Connections number 24.
And that, and the administration recommends that we engage in an intergovernmental agreement.
Questions? And I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendation. Second?
Second.
Pick one. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5 is the amended 2018-2019 budget.
And I believe
Mrs.
Mrs. Bush has a bunch of things to be handed out.
Handout, I have the budget, and then I have a line item revision. So, we need to have the budget on display, revised budget for 30 days, and luckily we have 35 days between our board meetings, so we have time to have it on display. And really, even though I did line item by line item, and it did a lot of detail, drill down work, we came out where I anticipated we would, with the exception of the Illini Cloud. Where the administrative district for the Illini Cloud consortium, and that entity is dissolving by the end of the fiscal year, so we'll be writing checks and paying out the portion of the fund balance. You see that on your financial reports every month as a restricted fund balance for the cloud, and so we'll be paying that out, which increases our deficit for the year, just because it was included in prior year fund balance, and we're paying it out this year. So we're where I anticipated. Worst case scenario, and that's with if we end up paying everything we potentially could. We have a $500 excess deductible health insurance for our employees that meet their deductible. We're still having issues with our health insurance, with the change. So at this point, we're not clear what that number will be, so anticipating that it could be higher than usual. And it could not be. I mean, I always look at that just so there aren't surprises at the end of the year, but I really feel that we'll come in lower than that, but looking at, I'm always very conservative with our revenues, and, looking at what we've collected so far. So we'll do a lot more detail at the May meeting, and if you have any questions as you go through, feel free to give me a call.
So worst case scenario, our deficit for the year is
$700.
$700,000.
And like I said, that's with the paying out that cloud, which was right at 140, I think.
But it
How
does
much-
or does
how
not
much?
include the,
140, 140,000.
you're saying it does or does not include that?
That
health
700
insurance?
includes that,
But
so
the
it's
health
like
insurance.
560.
The health
It
insurance
does.
issues,
It does.
Okay.
Includes the worst case scenarios, that we have a lot more people maybe than we typically do. We've seen in past years, we've been doing that excess deductible for quite some time, and it saved us a lot of money because you have less than half of your people that actually meet that deductible, and you pay that $500 out.
So are there plans to cut back on something to try to make up the deficit in FY '20?
There could be, I mean, those are things definitely to look at, but that deficit was, created, after the budget year started with the large expenditure of textbooks that we had, which, I don't think any of us knew that would be the cost of an ELA adoption. And, the addition of the HRA plan, and then the, salary increases, which, the entire amount wasn't included in the original budget. So, those are things that we can certainly look at moving forward. Also, kind of keeping in mind that we received that bump in our evidence-based funding. April, May, June of last year was the first time we received that money, and we didn't spend, I think we spent maybe $50,000-$60,000 on textbooks, and everything else rolled forward into this year of that money, which is, earmarked to be spent on adding staff, and, for our programs to bring us up to adequacy.
I think there's two things that I'd like to make sure that we state though, and the first is that the ending fund balance is still above what it was 2 years ago, before we had that large before they implemented the evidence-based funding. So a lot of the deficit's coming from that initial chunk that they gave us. Number two is, as we're looking forward, we're projecting only $400,000 next year. Our first year of evidence-based funding was $800,000. This year was $600,000. So we're thinking next year's $400,000. I'm really hoping that is worst case scenario, and we'll get more than that. And so I don't think that right now, until May, when we get more clarity from the state as far as what next year will bring, I don't think we need a deficit reduction plan right now.
Well, I think we do, because if you project out based on the deficit that we're gonna be incurring for the next 4 or 5 years, we're gonna be at 2023 with only $1.7 million in the bank. And that would be about $2 million less than what we had in 2013, 2014.
So your question about, do I think there are things that we need to pare down? Yeah, I do. I mean, there are things. We spend a lot of money this year on materials and supplies. The textbook adoption, part of that rolled over from last year. It was just a really big, and there are some other one-time,
So you're saying the science that we adopted last year, all of it rolled over, or just part of it?
Just the general elementary. One-time expenses with the last payment for the BEGS agreement, that was a one-time thing that won't be continuing forward, although that is taken to an account.
It's still factored in now.
It is, in the projection, it is. So I definitely think there are things that we can look at and tighten up, certainly. And we may need to look at something else for insurance, because when I looked at those projections going out 5 years, I assumed, made some assumptions with, a minimum of a 5% increase, although I think this year we're going to have much larger, because they're saying average of 7, average across the board, and the Egyptian Trust now has a tiered system. For the past 2 years, those increases have been anywhere from 3 to 18, depending on your experience, claims experience, and we've had some big claims, some large cases, so, I'll know next week a little bit more on what that might look like for us. We have a Egyptian Trust Benefit Committee meeting in Belleville, and hopefully they'll be able to provide us ahead of time. We usually don't know until May, which is why I got on the Benefits Committee, so I could get that inside information for us a little bit faster. But we may need to, when our claims at some point drop low enough that we're in the position to shop, we may need to definitely look at that, or look at, changes in our plan, even if that's something, sitting down with MEA and having those discussions.
Anyone else? All right, item number 6 is we need to set the budget hearing.
We recommend that we have a budget hearing on May 21st at 6:15. It'd be the next regularly scheduled.
Anybody opposed to that? Hopefully we'll have 2 different members by then.
May 21st.
Christie's not opposed to that.
Yeah, I know. All right.
She might wanna come listen then.
I'll entertain a motion to set the budget hearing for May the 21st, 2019 at 6:15. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. The last item is the press policy 100 update. This is information.
I believe you have them at your seats, correct? So those are, the first reading. Please let me know if you have any questions.
All right. We have a need to move into closed session.
Make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to section 2 of the Open Meetings Act 5, Illinois compiled statutes 120/2C to review the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee to determine its validity, and collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees.
Second?
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorr?
Yes.
Mrs. James?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. Let's take 5 minutes.